Hey guys, what's going on? Val here, and today we just got some pretty big drops with the official live stream. So not only did we get ML Pavel reveal, we also got all of the characters for the collab revealed, and I'm super excited about them. They seem like awesome units. That being said, I just want to jump into them real quick and give you guys my thoughts on them. So right out the gate we have Edward, and as you guys can see, he's got pretty high base HP, pretty low attack, very high speed actually, and I would just say overall very bulky looking base stats. And then with the imprint release of 14 FRES, that generally tells me this is a unit that's kind of designed to play standard. He gets 17 crit chance from his imprint concentration, which usually, you know, speaks to a very standard bruiser. His S2, I actually think is super strong. Overall, the kit looks really flat, but the S2 really makes him. So anytime he takes the debuff, whether it's from a regular attack, a counter attack, or an extra attack, it does appear that he will cleanse with the debuff and then attack back, landing a random debuff for 2 turns, and this can be procced once a turn. I think the skill is super strong, because if you're considering playing him in standard versus standard, what does every standard comp have, right? If you think about it, most standard comp have knights that will have an S1 provoke. So at the very least, into an end game, he'll have really good matchups versus standard comps. He's also really good against a lot of common units like Alencia right now and Spectre Tenebria, just because those units tend to land 1 debuff and then do a lot to kind of push the tempo of the game. He's going to be able to cleanse a debuff and then drop debuffs of his own back and just kind of stall out the game a little bit. And I think that's a really strong utility to have to kind of swing back the tempo of the game. And against Cleave and Aggro, those units usually carry a lot of debuffs as well. If you think about Cleave, right? Units like Ram, Peyra, all drop debuffs if they want to really utilize their units' kits. So that way, even if he doesn't cleanse every debuff, he's going to be able to hit back. And if he lands, you know, a random attack down, blind, provoke silence, all of those things kind of go into a way to punish Cleave units that don't run immunity. So back when Rimuru came out, that was a unit that really punished having immunity, and now we have a unit that punishes not having immunity, which I think is absolutely huge. And with these 2 units, you can kind of pincer a good amount of drafts by themselves. Next up, we have his S3, which is a single target nuke that gives him 50% CR. It ignores damage sharing effects like Aureus and Troublemaker Crows at S2. On top of that, it makes him scale with max HP, and the damage seems to increase every time, and it stacks up to 3 times, and you can soul burn that. So it would be 5 turns, Mola to 4 turns, soul burn to 2 turns, and he would just be able to ramp a lot of damage very quickly. So this to me speaks that he is a unit that can do a lot of damage, but not out the gate, which is definitely a standard unit. With this skill, I am probably going to run him on pen set, and with that, I am going to look to, you know, carry a book unit and just try to ramp his damage up as fast as I can. So I'm thinking to build him on pen set with triple set. So for those of you guys that don't know, that would be pen set, immunity set, plus any set that is good for a bruiser, right? So HP set or crit set, or pen set, speed set, and maybe even pen set, lifesteal set. And I think those are all viable options, especially considering you want to play him in a longer game. So lifesteal set may be good there, but maybe due to his high speed, I might just run him on a speed set and run something like a Sigurd Scythe. His S1, he just kind of hits them and gives himself a barrier. This is a super flat skill. I don't think it's anything amazing, but I think as is, he looks super strong already, and his kit is quite stacked, so I don't think it needs to be stronger as is. But as is with any damage dealer, as you guys know, I think these units need to have good multipliers in order to survive. So final strength TBD, but I do think if his multipliers are decent, you know, if he has like a Lencia or a Shu tier multiplier, this will be able to kind of plop him right into the middle of the meta, where he'll be very good in standard versus standard, and he'll be very good into like, well, he'll at least be usable standard into cleave and standard into aggro. As for his artifact, I think it's pretty nuts. If we consider the value of artifact that just gives some stats, he gives 10 crit, and at max stacks he gives 32 crit damage and 32% speed. I think that is absolutely insane. You could run that on him, you could run this on Alencia, you could run this on Shu, right? There's a lot of meta warriors right now that are super strong and standard, and they kind of check a lot of other playstyles. So I definitely think this artifact will see play, and it's one of those ones you kind of want to hunt for. I am probably going to personally roll for maybe 2 to 3 copies, stack them up as high as I can, and then run this on, I would say, Shu or Alencia, as opposed to Edward, just because I think I'm going to run him on Spisa with Sigurd Scythe. Okay, up next we have Roy, and I think this is one of the best designed heroes in this collab. He is so thematic, and his skills just feel so impactful. Let's just get into it. So right out the gate, I just want to point to you guys, this unit has 1412 base attack. I've scrubbed through his skills, and it does appear he doesn't have anything boosting that attack. So this is one of the highest base attack units in the game. So on top of that, he also gets 18% attack from imprint concentration. So he's going to be a unit that's meant to do a lot of damage, and you already know. So he has a really interesting S2 where, just like Spirit Isoline, it takes 2 hits to kill him, basically. He has terrible bulk, right? Like, basically the lowest HP and some of the lower defense. So having this is basically going to let you build him full offense, and he'll still be able to stay alive. At the start of the battle, he's going to gain 40 fighting spirit, so he's a fighting spirit hero, and he gets Flame Alchemist. Now, Flame Alchemist is his special buff, where he gets increased hit chance and attack. Now, on top of that, Flame Alchemist cannot be dispelled unless attacked by an ice elemental enemy. So this is part of what makes him so thematic, where now he's actually very, very weak to water. Roy's S3 gives himself attack for 2 turns first, and then he hits the opponent with an AoE. And on top of that, it also gives him Flame Alchemist. The less enemy there is, the more damage he deals. So it's kind of like one of those scaling up skills like Green Charles or Red Haste S3. And it costs him 80 fighting spirit, so that's kind of important to take note of, which means he wants to gain 40 fighting spirit before he gets to pop off. Okay, so Roy's S1 is Ignite, where he just attacks the enemy and then increases combat readiness for himself. When it's used on his own turn and he has Flame Alchemist, he activates a enhanced version of the attack where he penetrates defense by 50%, and he grants himself 30% combat readiness instead. And the coolest part with this is that he soul burns to give himself an extra turn. It gives him 30 fighting spirit, so if you would like to pop his S3 off turn 1, he would need to be soul burned twice, essentially, which immediately tells me he's one of those book heroes. And he carries book, and if you pair him with another book unit, you CR boost him, right? He snaps twice, and then boom, he drops the S3, and the opponent's team is just, you know, easy pickings for the cleanup. This tells me that he's going to either be a cleave DPS or a aggro DPS, where he must be played really aggressively, or if you want to play him in standard, he's got to be on lifesteal, and you have to run a huge mitigator to be able to protect him. I really like the spirit of this character just because he repeatedly snaps, and then after that he detonates, right? Just like he does in the original anime. I think he's done super well. As far as his artifact goes, Ignition Cloth Gloves gives him 20 hit chance and 14% attack. Usually when artifacts give attack like this, it's built on top of the final attack number. So this is like a mage version of Symbol of Unity, also a mage version of Misha. I think it's super strong. I don't think it's going to be the best in slot on Roy. I do think, however, if you play Fire Choleric, he's going to really want this artifact. So I'll probably pull for a copy of this. I think it's really, really strong. Overall though, I think he doesn't appear to be as powerful of a hero as Edward, but just because the way he's designed, I really, really want to play him. So I'm probably going to pull him and build him to play aggro. So up next, we have Riza Hawkeye, and she is going to be the free unit of this collab, and that's confirmed by Mashu on the official stream. So let's just get into it. So as far as base stat goes, I think she has one of those very balanced base stats where decent speed, decent bulk, middling attack with some effectiveness. When you have a very middling unit like this, that usually tells me that's kind of a PvE unit, if not a utility unit. Riza's S2 is a reverse version of what Troublemaker Crozet's S2 is. Decreases damage for your front slot ally, and on top of that, when the ally is dropped low enough, it dispels all of the debuffs, and she gets a buff. Her S3 is pretty cool as well. It dispels all buff off of a single target enemy and decreases her combat readiness. And on top of that, it gives her immunity, and she gives herself and the front slot ally a unique buff called Exploiting Weak Points. Basically, their next attack just lets them deal 20% more damage. I think it's quite strong. And her soul burn effect's actually pretty neat. It lets her consume 20 souls to ignore F-res. Okay, her S1 gives target debuff to the target she's attacking, and if she has her unique Hawkeye buff, it gives CR to your front ally. So overall, the kid is pretty interesting, but looking at her numbers, her base stats, right? She kind of feels like a PvE unit to me. Her S2 reduces damage for the front ally, her S3 strips buffs and delays CR. On top of that, her S1 just kind of lands one debuff and gives good CR support, which I think is very important in PvE in a lot of content. Nothing about her kit really stands out to me as it would really impact a fight in PvP. You know, she's not really top speed, so you would contest with her S3 to maybe push back an opponent. Unless her damage numbers are insane, I don't think she'll be a good main DPS in PvP. And on top of that, I feel like the utility she gives is more geared towards a longer fight, which is usually more based in PvE, especially the fact that she reduces damage for her front unit, which is usually something you see a lot in PvE because PvE mobs have a higher chance to target your front unit. So overall, I think she'll be okay. As far as her artifact goes, this definitely looks like the artifact they usually give out for free. Extra effective is nice, and if a critical hit is landed, caster gets speed, which I don't really think gets used too much for any type of PvP. So yeah, guys, that would be all of the new units announced for the collab. The collab will be starting next week on August 25th, so I'm super excited about that. We should be getting Riza and Edward out the gate, and we should be getting Roy a week later on September 1st. And speaking of September 1st, that would be the same day we get ML Pavel, also known as Commander Pavel. And for me personally, this is a unit I'm insanely excited about. Okay, right off the bat, we see Pavel's base stats, and I think it's pretty strong. The one notable stat is that he has 1327 base attack, which is considered very high. It's not as high as Roy, but this is definitely really strong, which you already know. Based off of his animations, he's going to be a very aggressive unit. His S2 is really, really strong. So at the start of battle, he gains 60 fighting spirit. Anytime an ally makes a crit, he gains 20 fighting spirit. And then when that fills up, meaning off the bat, if you can have ally land their crits on 2 separate turns, since this isn't activated by a counterattack, dual attack, or extra attack, he's going to be able to give himself attack up, and then attacks all enemies before giving himself 50% CR. And I think that's absolutely insane. this essentially puts him on par with something like, provided that he can get activated, right? A Caesarea or like an Ida, right? He gives himself a huge activation condition. His S3 is very strong, and it is a single target nuke that ignores damage share effect, and when his attack is higher than the target's attack, penetrates the defense, depending on the proportionate of the difference, right? So I'm assuming it's 1-to-1, so if he has 4k attack and he's hitting somebody with 2k attack, that means he's going to be penetrating by you know, way more than his maximum of 70%. I was originally thinking this had to force him to be built with way higher attack like you would have with Strays, but since this is a percentage proportional difference, it just seems like if you just build him with, you know, a good DPS build, he'll be more than good enough. This skill to me screams he is here to kill people's Apoc Ravi, Lionheart Sirmia, even Bellion, right? All of these bruisers that can just kind of tank down versus cleave and aggro, he's just here to one-shot them all. And as far as his S1 goes, it's just a regular attack with a 65% chance to decrease attack for 1 turn. Nothing too crazy. I think almost all of this unit's value is built into his S2 and S3. Just like Green Pavel, if you played him, you probably just mola the S2 and S3, and he'll be able to do a lot of work. I thought about it for a while. As is seen in the intro, he gets activated by Faithful's Lidica. I think he can also be activated by Green Sid, and if you play him in normal aggro where you go Closer Charles +1, I think he'll also be really strong there. Overall, super excited for this unit. I can't wait to actually play this one. Even between all the collab units, I can't wait for September 1st because I'm so excited for Pavel and I'm so excited for Edward. So that being said, guys, those are the new collab units and the new Moonlight unit revealed for today. Let me know what your guys' thoughts on them are, and if you think my takes are accurate. If you have any ideas on how these units could be played or how you want to see me play them, feel free to leave them in the comments down below, and we'll see what we can do. For now though, that's it from me for today. I appreciate you guys for watching the video to this point. If you could leave me a like or subscribe if you thought my takes were interesting, please do that. I'd really appreciate it, and it will help the channel a lot. But for now, that's it from me for this video, and I'll hope to see you guys in the next one. See ya.